Chapter 51 of Nickleby by Charles Dickens. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Nickleby by Charles Dickens. Chapter 51. The project of Mr. Ralph Nickleby and his friend approaching a successful issue becomes unexpectedly known to another party not admitted into their confidence. In an old house, dismal, dark, and dusty, which seemed to have withered like himself, and to have grown yellow and shriveled in hoarding him from the light of day, as he had in hoarding his money, lived Arthur Gride. Meagre old chairs and tables, of spare and bony make, and hard and cold as misers' hearts, were ranged in grim array against the gloomy walls. Attenuated presses, grown lank and lantern-jawed in guarding the treasures they enclosed, and tottering, as though from constant fear and dread of thieves, shrunk up in dark corners, whence they cast no shadows on the ground, and seemed to hide and cower from observation. A tall grim clock upon the stairs, with long lean hands and famished face, ticked in cautious whispers, and when it struck the time, in thin and piping sounds, like an old man's voice, rattled as if it were pinched with hunger. No fireside couch was there to invite repose and comfort. Elbow chairs there were, but they looked uneasy in their minds, cocked their arms suspiciously and timidly, and kept upon their guard. Others were fantastically grim and gaunt, as having drawn themselves up to their utmost height, and put on their fiercest looks to stare all comers out of countenance. Others, again, knocked up against their neighbours, or leant for support against the wall, somewhat ostentatiously, as if to call all men to witness that they were not worth the taking. The dark square lumbering bedsteads seemed built for restless dreams. The musty hangings seemed to creep in scanty folds together, whispering among themselves, when rustled by the wind, their trembling knowledge of the tempting wares that lurked within the dark and tight-locked closets. From out of the most spare and hungry room in all this spare and hungry house, there came, one morning, the tremulous tones of old Gride's voice, as it feebly chirruped forth the fag end of some forgotten song, of which the burden ran: "Taran, tan too, throw the old shoe, and may the wedding be lucky," which he repeated in the same shrill quavering notes again and again, until a violent fit of coughing obliged him to desist, and to pursue in silence the occupation upon which he was engaged. This occupation was to take down from the shelves of a worm-eaten wardrobe a quantity of frowsy garments, one by one, to subject each to a careful and minute inspection, by holding it up against the light, and after folding it with great exactness, to lay it on one or other of two little heaps beside him. He never took two articles of clothing out together, but always brought them forth singly, and never failed to shut the wardrobe door and turn the key between each visit to its shelves, The snuff-coloured suit, said Arthur surveying a threadbare coat. Did I look well in snuff-colour? Let me think. The result of his cogitations appeared to be unfavourable, for he folded the garment once more, laid it aside, and mounted on a chair to get down another, chirping while he did so, "Young, loving, and fair. Oh, what happiness there! The wedding is sure to be lucky." "They always put in young," said old Arthur, "but songs are only written for the sake of rhyme, and this is a silly one that the poor country people sang when I was a little boy. Though stop, young is quite right too. It means the bride, yes. Hey, 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 it means the bride. Oh, there, that's good. That's very good, and true besides, quite true." In the satisfaction of this discovery, he went over the verse again, with increased expression, and a shake or two here and there. He then resumed his employment. "The bottle green," said old Arthur. "The bottle green was a famous suit to wear, and I bought it very cheap at a pawnbroker's, and there was, he he he, a tarnished shilling in the waist pocket. To think that the pawnbroker shouldn't have known there was a shilling in it. I knew it. I felt it when I was examining the quality. Oh, what a dull dog of a pawnbroker! It was a lucky suit too, this bottle green. The very day I put it on first, old Lord Malford was burnt to death in his bed, and all the post obits fell in. I'll be married in the bottle green. Peg, Peg Sliderskew, I'll wear the bottle green." This call, loudly repeated twice or thrice at the room door, brought into the apartment a short, thin, wizened, blear-eyed old woman, palsy-stricken and hideously ugly, who, wiping her shrivelled face upon her dirty apron, inquired in that subdued tone in which deaf people commonly speak, "Was that you a calling, or only the clock a striking? My hearing gets so bad I never know which is which, but when I hear a noise, I know it must be one of you, because nothing else never stirs in the house." "Me, Peg, me", said Arthur Gride, tapping himself on the breast to render the reply more intelligible. "You, eh?" returned Peg. "And what do you want?" "I'll be married in the bottle green", cried Arthur Gride. "It's a deal too good to be married in, master", rejoined Peg, after a short inspection of the suit. "Haven't you got anything worse than this?" "Nothing that'll do", replied old Arthur. "Why not do?" retorted Peg. "Why don't you wear your everyday clothes, like a man, eh?" "They ain't becoming enough, Peg", returned her master. "Not what enough", said Peg. "Becoming." "Becoming what?" said Peg sharply. "Not becoming too old to wear?" Arthur Gride muttered an imprecation on his housekeeper's deafness, as he roared in her ear, "Not smart enough. I want to look as well as I can." "Look!" cried Peg. "If she's as handsome as you say she is, she won't look much at you, master. Take your oath of that. And as to how you look yourself, pepper and salt, bottle green, sky blue, or tartan plaid will make no difference in you." With which consolatory assurance, Peg Sliderskew gathered up the chosen suit, and folding her skinny arms upon the bundle, stood, mouthing and grinning, and blinking her watery eyes, like an uncouth figure in some monstrous piece of carving.